This is Shade Shutdown Time. We're doing What If Pokemon Were SCPs, Part 8. Martin Speedray, let's begin.
To me that this is already the 8th episode of Pokemon as SCPs,
Yep.
and I am still absolutely loving making this series, but also this is the 8th episode. We don't really need this intro, do we? You all get what's happening here. Let's just get into it, shall we? Let's hit like if you want, subscribe if you feel like, but either way, enjoy the show.
The recommends orange.
Welcome back, everyone. It has been some time since our last lecture, specifically on entities that fall into the subcategory of SCP-P, but we are now back on track, and I will not delay discussing our first topic today. Item number SCP-P302. Object Class, Euclid. Special Containment Procedures. P302 is to be housed in a standard containment cell with walls reinforced with Q carbon. It is to be fed 2 pounds of rocks and minerals every other day, with amethyst, quartz, and peridot gems added into its meals once per week. Personnel who enter its containment must do so while wearing specialized glasses to prevent paralysis. Description: P302 is a purple humanoid gremlin entity of roughly 4 feet tall. It sustains itself on a diet of stones and minerals, though seems to most specifically enjoy consuming gems and jewels. In place of its eyes, it has a type of unidentified blue gemstone and has other types of gems stuck across its body. It has teeth harder than diamonds and claws to match, which it can use to dig through solid stone with ease. It bears some similarities visually to the entities discussed in lectures regarding the creatures of the traitorous Dr. Jukiba, but there is no direct connection. Though if you do wish to refresh yourself on those lectures, I'll provide links to the...
Yeah, I actually liked that. Yeah. Let me tell you, I sort of like how he sort of explains it. Format. I was waiting. Not Dutch.
The sole specimen of P302 we've discovered was found by accident while looking into reports of another set of insect-like humanoid creatures in an abandoned mine in a town called Hollowsville. This entity tracked along behind our operatives in the field, making sounds, then hiding away, before eventually leaping out ahead of them with its eyes gleaming in an attempt to scare them. It was able to evade them for quite some time after that, having a very strong understanding of the terrain in the mines, but eventually the operatives were able to capture it, though 3 did become temporarily paralyzed in the process. While the exact biological effect this creature has on beings has not been completely identified, what is known that if a human looks into the eyes of this creature while its gems are glowing for a period of longer than 6 seconds, the human will completely collapse and fall unconscious for a period of up to 2 days. While suggestions of supernatural causes are always complex to prove, there is a theory suggested that this entity has the ability to cut off the soul's connection to its body with this gaze, temporarily that is, and this is what causes the collapse. It would be a very difficult thing to prove, obviously, but I suppose I cannot provide definitive evidence to rule it out. Luckily, this creature is more mischievous than inherently hostile, even well in our containment, but it has attempted escapes and has seriously injured personnel with its claws in past containment breaches. While it is not on the more threatening end of Euclid-class SCPs, caution should still be taken when interacting with P302.
By the way, I look into your eyes in 6 seconds, and I have
The
nothing.
following SCP is part of its own unique set of 11 specimens, even within the SCP-P subclass. These entities are believed to be from alternate dimensions to our own, and came into our world through SCP-354, sometimes colloquially referred to as the Red Lake. The O5 Council had greenlit an experiment on the Red Lake, the details of which are classified to even myself, though I'm certain whatever our leaders were attempting to do was well worth the risk that led to new invasive entities entering our world. Today, we'll simply discuss item number SCP-P799. Object Class, Keter. Special Containment Procedures. P799 is temporarily housed in a Foundation-owned landfill, where it is to be kept so long as it can remain fixated on the contents it consumes there. If assumed rates are correct, a new containment option will be required for it in approximately 27 days. Description: P799 appears as a 30-foot-tall mutant draconic crab creature whose torso doubles as a massive mouth. It has 2 legs and 2 arms, along with another set of amorphous crab-like claws that can spawn from black sludge that forms in its mouth. It also has a spiked tail that it uses as a destructive wrecking ball. Furthermore, it appears to have a second smaller head atop of its body, though we believe this has very few sensual functions. The entity acts like a manifestation of the sin of gluttony. It is near constantly consuming anything in its path, and left to its own devices could likely consume an entire city in a matter of weeks. It uses the amorphous claws it can spawn, among other abilities it has, to break down near any object it sees into something that will fit in its massive mouth. When the substance is pushed through the glowing blue space at the back of its throat, they seem to simply vanish. It is believed that its mouth may be a portal to another realm or location, as the creature seems able to eat endlessly without ever being satisfied. When the creature was first let loose onto our world, it was recaptured fairly quickly with the aid of SCP-P807, whom we'll discuss later this eve, but it was not in our custody for long. A specialized housing had been built for this entity at Site-19 that had every reinforcement imaginable in place, and unfortunately the entity was still able to use its claws and other abilities to tear the cell apart from the inside and devour it. Its placement in a landfill is a temporary solution, and we are heavily considering trapping this entity in its own pocket dimension, though the O5 Council seems to be resisting this option for some reason. Oddly, the creature bears some resemblances to an SCP we've yet to discuss, SCP-P718, named alternatively by its discoverer to be Zygarde. They both have mouths on their torsos, have some transformational abilities, and similarly textured bodies. However, they are polar opposites in terms of instincts, one to devour and destroy, and the other to protect threatened ecosystems. The notion has been floated that P799 may be some dark realities version of P718, but no proof is currently available to validate this claim.
Yep.
Item number SCP-P249. Object Class, Archon. Special Containment Procedures. A team of specialized personnel have been tasked to track P249's movements to ensure it remains in the depths of the ocean. If it surfaces, reinforcements are to be called in to ensure as limited exposure as possible to the eyes of civilians, as well as to aid the entity in whatever endeavor it is partaking in. Description: P249 is a draconic shark creature that seems to be ageless. It has a white and blue hide with massive hands that can both help it swim incredibly quickly underwater and also, somehow, allow it to fly. It was first discovered in the year 2000 when a member of the Global Occult Coalition managed to capture 3 powerful Archon SCP entities that are known to help maintain the balance of the elements in our world. He intended to kill these creatures, believing the elements did not need balancing from the likes of these entities, which of course was an inane decision as is common from the GOC. He accomplished these captures at the cost of many...
There's many things about JFC that people don't understand. They're kind of also smart. just they understand what their goals are.
Foundation lives,
Right.
but doing so spurred this hibernating water guardian, P249, into awakening and surfacing for what we believe to be the first time in hundreds of years. It was able to destroy the GOC base where the captured SCPs were being held and returned to the ocean for some time after, though the Coalition had become intrigued by this creature. P249 showed might that rivaled that of even the most powerful entities we have encountered, and so the GOC began developing a way to try and use this creature's abilities.
Like what's I wouldn't say that. Now, there is some that are so Dixie overboard. This scene is not even posing a threat to them.
To their own advantage. An administrator turned occult scientist for the Coalition, codenamed Lavrina, developed a type of micro-pocket dimension that an entity could be sent to via a hand-sized orb that the Coalition referred to as a dark ball. The intent was that being sent into this pocket dimension would brainwash the entity into following the orders of the Coalition. As expected, they failed in this regard. P249 was captured in one of these dark balls, and when it was released with the intention of using it to destroy other SCPs, the creature had instead been corrupted into a destructive, violent version of its former self. Its hide had even turned to a dark purple hue, and it proceeded to go on a destructive rampage that, of course, we at the SCP Foundation had to clean up ourselves. Our own scientists developed a counter device to the Coalition's creation, now commonly referred to as a pocket ball, which traps an SCP in our own micro-pocket dimension, calms them, and reverses the effects of the Coalition's corruption. You may have heard rumors of these pocket balls before and wondered why we do not simply use these for every SCP, but the technology is still unreliable at best. Entities have proven able to escape with enough will to do so. On top of that, it is not an easy feat to create a single pocket dimension, let alone multiple ones to house other SCPs.
Yeah.
Still, for the purposes of dealing with the shadow version of SCP-P249, the device served its purpose, and the entity has since returned to the depths of the ocean, with a tracking device placed onto it, where it will likely remain unless it senses a threat to our world worthy of its might.
No. Oh, that's the okay.
Of item number SCP-P807. Object class, safe. Tentatively. Special containment procedures. P807 is to be housed in a standard containment cell, but with permission to roam free so long as it is with its designated Foundation ally, Agent Dia. Dia must provide weekly updates as to his partnership with P807, and so long as all remains peaceful between them and the creature cooperates, it may keep its special privileges. Description. P807 is a humanoid feline. It is predominantly covered with vibrant yellow fur, with some segments of dark gray leathery skin. It stands at 5 foot 8 inches and has a long yellow and blue tail that spawns not from its tailbone, but from its mid-back. The creature could very well have become a violent threat to the Foundation, as it has an abundance of abilities. It can run fast enough to break the sound barrier, approaching 400 miles per hour, can leap 10 stories with ease, has claws that are hard as diamonds and can extend 4 inches from its paws, and on top of that all, has the ability to conduct massive amounts of electricity from the air to expel at whatever target it so chooses. Luckily, the creature was found when it was young by one Agent Dia. The forest near his hometown in Japan was ravaged by a fire while he was visiting family. He heard a strange animal cry coming from the forest as they were evacuating. It was near enough that he could go in to investigate, and through the smoke and flames he found the creature, as an infant, with its legs trapped under a tree. He rescued the creature and promptly informed the Foundation of it, as at the time he was a low-ranking personnel member. Since this time, as some other Foundation personnel have done, Agent Dia was able to train the SCP to work alongside him on
Okay.
his missions. They are now a regularly utilized field team when a particularly dangerous SCP is in need of capturing, as, now at full size, P-807 is a vicious fighting force that thankfully follows Agent Dia's directions, for the most part. As mentioned previously, Dia and P-807 were dispatched to help capture the gluttonous P-799, and, well, it did later escape, that was to no fault of Dia and his ally. P-807 has shown to have some animalistic defensive traits that suggest it could easily lash out at other Foundation personnel if it felt threatened, but thus far Agent Dia has managed to keep it from harming any of our personnel. While there are obvious risks, this relationship has provided us some hope that other partnerships with SCPs, particularly ones in the SCP-P category, could be fostered and utilized to our advantage going forward. Now, that is all the time we have for this evening. As usual, please log requests for further SCPs to discuss below, and have a good night.
What's a good uh he did say how durable this thing is. Yeah, it is so. Oh, oh,
If you're new here and you enjoyed this, you might want to check out my Lilo and Stitch Experiments as SCPs episodes,
Yeah.
or maybe my Pokemon as Superheroes series, which has more of a progressing storyline. And if you want to know more about how I came up with the...
Yeah, Sparks said to him, or yeah, to me, I also do reactions. Please like and subscribe. Bye.